Okay. So, breaking the silence. The mental health in Hispanic households, healing generational trauma, and supporting the next generation. So, échale ganas. Just pray about it. We don't talk about it. If you grew up in a Hispanic household, you've heard at least one of these things. And if you struggled, like really struggled, you probably learned quickly to just keep it to yourself. The stigma surrounding mental health in Hispanic household is silencing an entire generation. And today, I want to convince you that breaking that silence is one of the most powerful acts of love a family can choose. I'm going to talk about three things: what generational trauma is and how it's getting passed down through the families, where the stigma comes from and who it impacts, and what can we do right now in order to change this. So, what is generational trauma? It is the transmission of trauma responses from one generation through the next through behavioral, emotional patterns, and stress. It was first studied in survivors of the Holocaust and their children, but researchers now recognize it across communities that have experienced prolonged hardships. According to a 2022 article in Scientific America written by researcher Victoria Stern, descendants of trauma survivors have been found to have altered stress hormones profiles compared to their peers, a finding that points to their biological reality of intergenerational trauma. Hispanic families carry lots of layers of this. There's immigration trauma, poverty, discrimination, family separations at borders, and survival in hostile environments. When that pain is never named or treated, it becomes one of the emotional wallpapers of a household. Children absorb it without understanding where it comes from, and they just deal with it. So, if trauma is real and it's passed down through families, the next question is, why aren't we getting the help? Why aren't we? Where does this stigma come from? So, the reluctance to seek mental health in Hispanic communities is not random. It's rooted in cultural values around family privacy, strength, faith, and gender roles. Historically, mental illness was associated with shame, weakness, and spiritual failure. A study published in the Psychiatrics Services by researcher Alejandro Intern and Hilda Martinez found that Hispanic adults are significantly less likely than non-Hispanic white adults to seek mental health treatment, and the stigma and cultural mindsets of the mental health systems were among the top barriers identified. For Hispanic men, especially, machismo, which is the cultural expectation of emotional toughness, makes it vulnerable. Vulnerability feel dangerous. For women, the role of self-sacrificing and becoming a caregiver becomes a little bit in ways that it shows that it's okay not to say what you feel. Young Hispanic Americans are caught in the middle. They hear about mental health at school and online, and then they come home to the environment where topics like this are off limits. That disconnects makes them feel very isolated. According to the National Alliance of Mental Health, Hispanic and Latino people are 50% less likely than non-Hispanic white people to seek mental health services, despite reporting the higher rates of depression and anxiety. Understanding where the stigma comes from is important, but understanding it is not enough. We have to do something, and that's my third point. Where can we change this? We can start with conversations at home. Families who openly name emotion raise children with stronger coping skills. Even imperfect conversations can help. You need to be willing to say, I've struggled too, to someone that you love. Culturally competent Spanish speaking therapists are more available now more than ever. Organizations like the National Latinx Psychological Associations maintain directories of therapists who specifically serve the Latino community and understand the cultural nuances that general therapists may not know. Researcher Thera, writing in the Journal of Cultural Diversity and Ethnic Minorities, found that Hispanic patients who were matched with cultural competent providers show significantly better outcomes than people that weren't with culturally competent providers. This is not abandoning Hispanic culture, it's about expanding it. The loyalty, the toughness, and the sacrifice that defines a lot of our families, those are the exact values that we need in order to push towards healing. Seeking help is not a weakness. It is choosing to stop handling pain and giving it to the next generation. So, we've talked about how generational trauma travels through families, why the stigma in Hispanic households runs deep and where it comes from. And now, how can we change that? One honest conversation at a time. The generation coming up behind us is watching us to see if it is safe to be honest. It is time to show that it is safe. Strength is not silence. Strength is truly choosing to heal. Here is what I'm asking you to do today. There's just two things. Go to the website for the National Latinx Psychological Association at nlpa.net. This is where you can find cultural competent therapists in your area. And if you're not ready for that, it's okay. There is a page on Instagram called the Healing Circle Pod. It's a mental health podcast created specifically for the Latino community and it's free. The conversation has to start somewhere. Let's start it with it being you. Thank you.